Okay, so our next speaker to carry this on is Gina Yacone, who's a senior cybersecurity consultant and vCISO with Agio's Raleigh office. I love that. I never had to say that before, so I was like, okay, now I got it. But you're really responsible for educating organizations about the changing landscape of cybersecurity, so that we don't think that it's just you're down there in the basement, checking the code, trying to catch cybersecurity people like I often draw. So I love that you're going to talk about facing the unique challenges in today's organization. So please show us and tell us more about how we can get a career in cybersecurity and what that actually would look like.
Awesome. Thank you.
What's your word for the year?
Empower.
All right, I'm ready. Let's go.
Awesome. Hopefully I have enough energy like Patty does. It is 9 o'clock over in the East Coast. So sorry, it's a little dark in here. But hi, everybody. I'm going to be launching a boot camp tonight on how to become a cybersecurity professional, a specialist, an engineer, and or an analyst. So to kick that off, my first thing is, what do you see? Do you see a cybersecurity professional? Maybe. I don't know. I have to figure out how to get back to the chat. But put in the chat if you think you see a cybersecurity professional there. Hopefully, maybe you do. If not, I wanted you guys to know really that your title doesn't define you. Okay, you're a whole person. You might be a daughter, a grandmother, a grandmother, of course, a granddaughter. Maybe you're an athlete. Maybe you're a world traveler. Maybe you're a huge adventurist. Okay, you can be 1,000 different things and also be a cybersecurity and or a technology professional. One of the things that I do not want you to lose yourself throughout any of your job hunting and or your is I don't want you to lose your self of identity. It is who you are. So bring that passion, bring who you are, bring that essence to the table. Now, of course, you can present what you want people to see, but sometimes you need to bring out the energy to show people who you are. So again, your title does not define you. But how do you get here? So my story, cybersecurity was not my first career. So I wish I was born into it. There are some people probably a lot younger than I that will be potentially born into being a cybersecurity professional. But when I went to college, cybersecurity was not a degree that was offered. It just wasn't there. I mean, maybe IT engineering, networking, things like that, but it wasn't. I went into political science. I wanted to become a lawyer. I wanted to become a shark. But I spent 14 years in legal as a private investigator instead, and I was proving and disproving legal theories of the case based on facts. So I was, investigating different legal cases. 14 years of my career. And it came to a point where I didn't know where to go. What was the road map for me? And shockingly, a recruiter came out of the blue and said, you should look into cybersecurity. There's not enough women in cybersecurity. So I really loved that it became approachable. At that time, I think the US stats were like 6 to 8% or 9% of women in cybersecurity in the United States, which is really low. It may be like 19% now, not sure with the pandemic. But I had all this legal experience. How does that translate into cybersecurity? There's no way. How does this correlate? It doesn't. In my brain, it didn't. However, somebody saw in me something I didn't see myself at the time. And I was doing things, and they're more of the softer skills. So I was factually working up cases for trial. And because I was an investigator, I would prove and disprove those theories based on facts. So what I do now is I am a senior cybersecurity consultant and a virtual chief information security officer, also known as a vCISO. So it's a virtual virtual. I do everything from my home now. It's the pandemic. So I advise clients on how to secure their enterprise and organization. So is that super techie? It can be. Is it super, nerdy? Of course. But it also has a lot of soft skills. In one of the sessions that we had earlier, they were talking about the need for communication and being able to verbally, as well as in written form, communicate your thoughts and really be able to put that first as one of your resume builders and something to differentiate yourself. I believe that that's 100% true. I believe that that's got me to where I am. So cybersecurity, not my first career. It likely will be my last because it is my passion. Hopefully you see in my talk, it is my passion. And hopefully, cybersecurity, it's just such an evolving field. There's always bad actors to beat down. So like I said, my job it's not super technical, but it can be. So for example, one week, maybe I'll be performing a risk assessment on an organization. So that risk assessment will tell the organization about its potential cybersecurity risks. And it'll create a corrective action or a roadmap for them in a prioritized fashion. So that's one of my jobs. It's kind of like an auditor. So you're assessing an organization and you're helping them think about their roadmap for the future. So that's one area I do is risk assessments. The next one might be a data map where I'm looking at data and the way it traverses a network. So the way data moves in and out of the network. So that could be through a variety of different systems and making sure those systems are secure. So a lot of that is talking to clients, interviewing clients, asking about their systems, kind of investigating with my private eyeglass, right? So asking questions, thinking about, is this secure? Going a little bit deeper. So that's one area. So that can be a little bit more technical. Another one that I could be doing is I could be looking at firewall rules and looking at, seeing if the firewall rules are working for an organization. It may be looking at the SIM or the log aggregator. So that's something where it's all of this data. If you think about everything that you do on your computer and on your networks, it creates all of this data. And all of that is kind of like a fingerprint. It gives you a lot of evidence. And all of this data needs to go someplace. And that is usually called a SIM. And I can't think of it what it is now because I'm tired, but it's like a security information event monitor, I think. Let me do my test right now for my Security Plus. But something like that. It's a log collector, but it takes all of the logs and it analyzes them based on intelligence and people looking, and it correlates them with behavioral intelligence and analytics, and it looks for patterns, and that patterns can predict bad behavior. So that could be a little bit technical. The other things I could be doing is cybersecurity awareness trainings, and where I get to promote cybersecurity best practices and what that means. And then another thing of my job is I might be writing policies. Those policies that nobody likes to read every year. How do you do X and how do you do Y and why she should do Y? I could be writing those for an organization. So my job can be very fluid in its day to day. I'm very blessed in that regard because it keeps me on my toes. There's always something new and something very exciting for me to always be exploring. But there's different areas that you can explore as well. So mine is kind of in a more like managerial looking at it. But there's other things in cybersecurity. So a lot of people come to me because of course I make it look so easy. And so they're like, this is kind of how a conversation goes. How do I get into cybersecurity? My response, what area of cybersecurity? Well, I don't know. I'm not sure. Or the cloud, or like what you do. That's very broad to me. So we have to be intentional about like what's next. And not everybody because cybersecurity is so broad, it's hard to be passionate about all things in cybersecurity. So there are different things that once you find a spark, and hopefully through amazing studying and certifications and career advice, that something sparks in you, something you get excited about, where you're like, I really like X, Y, or Z about protecting an organization. Because it's not one-stop shopping. Sometimes I wish it was, but it's not. So when you're really asking for advice, really think about how you're going to make your question impactful to the person who's responding to it. So it's not just like, hey, how do I get into cybersecurity? It really is like, I've been researching cybersecurity and this area is of interest to me. What are your thoughts about certain certifications or, training videos or YouTube videos or networking groups that maybe I can learn more about to see if that's going to be a passion of mine? So you have to kind of look one step further. Also, attending conferences like this will really help you kind of hone in different areas. Maybe your passion is cybersecurity awareness training. That's an entire division in cybersecurity. Maybe your passion is really protecting the network with passwords and identity and access management. So you're thinking a credential, a password, maybe multi-factor authentication, all of that good stuff. That's an entire area of security. Maybe it's on encrypting the network. So thinking that there's a pass, it's very secure. So you're encrypting the network to make sure that there's privacy when data is traversing the network and you can't have any eavesdroppers in there. Maybe you want to be a white hat hacker. Maybe you want to be a hacker. Maybe you want to wear a hoodie. Maybe you want to ethically help organizations see where there's risks in their security posture. So maybe you want to be a penetration tester. That might be an area that interests you. So all of these different areas so that's why I'm saying cybersecurity is so broad. And so, you really want to think about it and then dive deeper. So what's in a title? So I'm here to speak about 3 specific titles. So, my title, the talk of this is an analyst, an engineer, and a specialist walk into a bar. Okay. So what are the similarities between these positions? So one, the similarity is that all of them help prevent security breaches. That is the one similarity. There's no joke there. Not all heroes wear capes, right? So it's one, their job is, not their sole responsibility is to protect the network, but they're helping protect the network. Because one, cybersecurity is a shared responsibility. Can't fall solely on one person. Has to fall on everybody, your end users, your IT staff, your C-suite, your HR department, your finance department. Falls on everybody. Because if one bad actor gets in, it can destroy the entire network. So there are these things where they're helping prevent secure the network and prevent cybersecurity breaches. It's very important. So it is a team building responsibility. But there also is some differences. So this is some place where you can be creative and maybe find aspirational things to do. So for example, maybe you're a security engineer where you're looking at the entire organization's structure and you're deciding how it should be designed and implemented. So you're kind of like a Da Vinci, right? You're drawing out, you're whiteboarding, you're thinking how the network should be segmented and how data works through the network. And you're kind of in there, nooks and crannies with a faint wrench. But you're really in there as a security engineer, designing and implementing and kind of always revising and troubleshooting. So that is one area, and it's a very, very popular area to go into. The other one is an analyst. Now, analysts, for the most part, and I'll make a caveat to this in a second, for the most part, I see them in a SOC or a security operations center. Okay, so it's called a SOC. And so a security operations center, that's a place where you get the SIM logs and or the logs that come from the different data sources So if you're thinking the firewall, your different applications, you're thinking about your IDS systems and your IPS systems and everywhere that gets logs, your antivirus, all of that fun nitty gritty stuff you got to learn. So all of those create data, and that has to go centralized into the SIEM. So somebody has to look at that SIEM. Yes, some of it can run on its own, but that SIEM creates alerts that have to be looked at and evaluated by a human. Okay, so there is some great intelligence behind it from the machine perspective, because it is looking at millions to billions of data and like entries. But when alert comes on, a person has to investigate it. So if you're one of those people that wants to investigate, different data entries onto a system, this is great for you. It's a lot about data and analysis and analytics. And also, the SIEM has to be continuously tuned, because with a SIEM, you can have it overtuned or undertuned. So each time that you're working in the SIEM, wiping out false positives, saying something is closed, things like that, and creating, different rules into the SIEM, you have to keep on making sure the bad actors are going to catch up with you. So you have to keep on tuning it. So just like the security engineer has to sometimes look at the way that they've designed it and sway to competing areas. Like, so if there's, a change maybe in a framework, a security framework, or maybe there's a, hole in the network, they may change and go into there. I should have said a hole, a gap in the network. Maybe they'll go in there and do some fixes. Where the analyst is really looking maybe at the traffic and the data behind it. And then there's specialists. So those are known as like experts in the field. A lot of times, and I'm sorry, I should have went back. An analyst, and I'll try to also find the chat at the same time. Okay. So an analyst, I'm seeing a lot on LinkedIn is that analysts are not always for the security operations center. So that's something to consider when you're looking at job roles. What is a cybersecurity analyst? That also can be very broad, I'm seeing. So that also, a lot of times organizations are bringing analysts in as an entry-level position, but not necessarily just in a security operations center or working with the SIEM. It also could be from an aspect of helping with risk assessments or doing data collections on tabletop exercises or incident response exercises, or doing data collection of other things. So it's still working with data, but your goal is to eventually graduate them into a more senior position. So there's different ways that I'm seeing on LinkedIn that the role analyst is created. So you have to really pay attention to what it's actually saying for you. And then there's specialists, of course, which are known as experts in their field. Nowadays, I don't really see a lot of specialist titles out there, let's say. A lot of them will be, you're normally in a director or management position, and it wouldn't really necessarily be the title of specialist. I think I only know one true specialist anymore, but security engineers and analysts, gosh, I know a lot. So there are very distinct differences. And that's one of the reasons why I was saying to you guys earlier about really brainstorming on what area appeals to you most. So a lot of these are more behind the computers, maybe not as customer facing. Specialists may be more customer facing because they're experts in the field, but more of it's like creating case tickets, replying to tickets, and maybe going on to a call if there's an incident. A lot of SOC analysts could eventually maybe get promoted into becoming, incident responders and working part of that team. So a lot of times when a ticket comes over, they're the first ones, an analyst would be the first ones to analyze it. And that would be a tier 1 analyst. And then they'll move it up to a tier 2 analyst, which might do a deeper dive investigation into that ticket to see if the tier 1 analyst did exactly what they're supposed to do, but 2, maybe close it out and or investigate further. And of course, if there's a real incident, it may go up to a tier 3 analyst, and or a specialist. So there's different things here to look at that are very very distinct and very cool. So think about what you want to do and dive a little bit deeper. Going on to the next part is like, what's next, right? So do all like roads lead to Rome? No. So here are some cloud certifications, and all of these are cybersecurity specific. So AWS or Amazon Web Services has an entire field of cybersecurity certifications where it elevates you to the next level. So you can start small, like a fundamentals, and move yourself up. So it's a really exciting kind of benchmark to see where you're going. So if you're trying to specialize, it's one area. Microsoft Azure, another one as well. I just finished a couple Azure fundamentals class and identity and access management. It's very good. They also have that kind of that roadmap for you. And Women in Cloud have over 1,000, I think, scholarships available for Azure. So definitely dive into that. That's really important. Another one where there's cybersecurity certifications is Google Cloud. So if you specialize in Google or the organization you do, check out their certifications in security. So this is one of those things when if you want a certain job at a certain company, see what they utilize. Are they using Amazon? Are they using Azure? Are they using cloud? And look at those and check out what they are. And take a fundamentals, take some security ones, and see if you like it. See if you even like it. Because that's really what's important, because cybersecurity is so broad. You may not like this, but man, you can pivot quick and go somewhere else and still have some of maybe the foundations that are there. Some of the general ones you can find from like Cloud Security Alliance. They have 2 certifications. One that's a general certificate of knowledge for cybersecurity in the cloud. And the other one is a cloud auditor. And so those are neat cloud ones. They're more vendor agnostic. So it gives you an overall type of cybersecurity background. The other one is from ISC Squared. So they have the CCSP, which is the Certified Cloud Security Professional. So I know a lot of people that are currently studying for that or just have received that. You also have the SANS Institute that has some cloud security certifications, and of course CompTIA. So there are tons of networking opportunities for you to, cloud providers and security certifications to look into. But is it enough? Maybe so. Maybe not. It's 9 o'clock here. But anyways, I think one of the things, if I was going to provide you advice, I would definitely think about trying to get a vendor specific certification. Most organizations, especially big ones, they're working in Azure, especially in the Active Directory part. And they have an AWS presence as well. So you're seeing majority of enterprises really on those 2 platforms. So it would behoove you to really try to get one of those certifications. In addition, if you're already in the field and maybe you want more of a general overview, you're talking to clients about cybersecurity, and you really just kind of need a high level perspective. Maybe you're not getting in the weeds as much as need as much hands-on. Maybe you'll think about some of the more general ones, which do have a practical component to it, but not as much as some of these vendor specific ones. So these are some cloud certifications to consider. I'm sure there's tons more out there, but I just wanted to make sure that these ones were known to you. All right. Oops, sorry. The next one is network. So this one's huge. Okay. I do not think you can just, that's another thing. It's like, how do I get into cybersecurity? And then it's like, I just have to take this boot camp. Recruiters find me. No, that does not, like, maybe, I don't know. That's a needle in a haystack, I think. So it really is taking your experience. If you're transitioning into cybersecurity, take what you have built already. In addition to that, network. So that's a really important feature. You want to go onto LinkedIn, you want to go onto Twitter, you want to really think about how you're cultivating. Post something every day on LinkedIn and Twitter. Make that a habit. Also go out to LinkedIn or YouTube and look at like LinkedIn branding videos or Twitter branding videos. Learn how to promote yourself. You're the only one that could be your own promoter, okay? So it's very important. So besides like looking at different online communities, one is your resource here, Women in Cloud, huge. Very, very important resource that you should utilize and capitalize on. They're doing some really great things, and they have, the 1,000+ certifications. They have these conferences. They have different mentoring sessions. So this is a great organization to be with. But in addition to that, I want you to start getting in a habit. Cybersecurity, if you want to be a part of it, it moves fast. So you need to check the news every day. You need to post about cybersecurity incidents on LinkedIn, what you've learned about it, and get noticed. Use hashtags appropriately and be empowered. So I know I only have a couple minutes left, but of course, with networking, here's how you network with me. And I think that's it. I think I did it.
You did a fantastic job. You are so funny. I kept putting in the chat, you are funny. You are really funny. Because
that's what I do. Oh my gosh, you're such a, like I said, I'm fangirling. I swear.
I mean, really, it was so great.
How to bring the energy.
I had drawing the firewall and the lock and everything on the security. I mean, it's my favorite thing to draw about cybersecurity, because then you can draw bandits in there, hiding behind things like those people in the basement, but you also can do all the protocol stuff. And so thank you for sharing all that. Go to sleep now, because, I'm 1 hour behind you, but I know what it's like. So
I got tired. I'm trying to bring it.
Thanks for everything. Thanks for being here, Gina. Okay.
Bye, guys.
See you soon. Thank you.